Hi, this is Sarith here. When people learn that I'm a speaking coach and an English teacher, the first thing that they come up with is to say, we couldn't learn the language. And then they say, how do you think we should make a start? How do you think I should study? And I say, the common problem among you people asking this question is that you're afraid of making mistakes. That's why you can't make any progress, unfortunately. I say, make a very shitty plan and make a start. Do not overthink about it too much. Learning process is built on making mistakes. When you make a wrong turn or wrong start, you learn you shouldn't do the wrong part again, not the start itself. You know the story of Thomas Edison, how he invented the light bulb. One day a journalist came up to Thomas Edison saying that, how did you invent the light bulb? And Thomas Edison said, I tried 1,000 times at least. And the journalist replied, wow, didn't you feel ever disappointed or upset about any kind of the progress you made? And he said, Thomas Edison added, no, I learned 999 ways that didn't work. Many people are afraid of making mistakes when it comes to learning, but in my opinion, there is no such thing. That's technically impossible because the learning process takes place like this. Up to a certain point, we use a certain method and then we reach a ceiling. When we reach that ceiling, we change our ways and adopt new strategies, and then we continue. Sometimes we need to break down what we have just learned over the years, over the course of the learning process, and we need to build it up again, and then we continue again. This is the learning process itself. Unfortunately, however, many people think in a different way. They say, oh, I've invested so much in this with my time, my energy, my hope, my even money. So I need to get some results. I say life is not in debt to us. Life is in a constant change. Today's requirements won't be needed tomorrow. So I suggest instead of trying to create a comfort zone for yourself with the things that you know, you should challenge your comfort zone with the things that you've learned. Getting back on track. How should we or where should we start studying English? As far as I'm concerned, as an English teacher with almost 20 years of job experience, I can suggest people to start studying English, especially with reading skill. Why? Because in the language learning process for adults, not for the children, many things start with visual learning and theory. You can incorporate your theoretical knowledge into reading much more easily than into listening and other skills. If you're watching this video for your kids, however, get them to learn things through mimicking the sounds that they hear, because listening is more useful for them when it comes to learning English as a foreign language. But for you as adults, you can get more benefit from reading. Okay, Sarvet, what are we going to read? There are tons of materials on the internet today. You can do some quick search and you can start directly with those materials. After getting used to the main theory of the sentence structure, which is grammar, of course, you can start reading the material with a dictionary. The difficulty of the passage or the text that you're reading should be slightly above your level, not too much. And you should have only a little bit of difficulty with understanding some parts of it. After the first 2 weeks or so, getting used to the reading exercises, start your listening practices as well. Do not worry too much about grammar for now. Take those grammar lessons and try to learn as much as you can, but give your main effort to reading and listening. Read, listen, take notes, and memorize the words that you see in the reading and listening materials. Continue like this for a couple of months, and in the meantime, try to learn the pronunciation of the words or expressions that you see in those materials. A few months later, you can start your speaking practices, and here comes the fun part. You can try to tell those stories that you've read in the reading text to yourself. Record your voice and listen to yourself. Compare your sentences with the text that you've read in the reading materials. You'll see your sentences will be a lot different from what you've read in the text. Try copying them from the text and memorize them if necessary, and try to tell the story to yourself again and again and record your voice and listen to yourself again and again. This is generally the framework of what you should do when it comes to practicing English with your reading, speaking, and listening. But in time, you'll come up with your own strategy. We talked about how to prepare a study plan, but we haven't talked about how to set up our goals. Please do not define any kind of unrealistic, unattainable, and impractical objectives for yourself. In the first couple of months, try to read and listen as much as you can. If you get enrolled to a language school, give yourself at least 1 year to reach the level B1 or maybe even B2. If you're learning by yourself, give yourself at least 2 to 3 years to reach those levels. And if you're learning from the scratch, do not expect yourself to speak the language in the first 3 or 4 months. When you're ready, start listening to songs with English lyrics. Do not tell me that you don't like it. Force yourself to like it. Because in the language learning process, it's not only about language, but it's also related to cultural practices. If you do not immerse yourself in the target language's culture, do not expect to think in that language. And trust me, my friend, speaking or having conversation or reading something in the target language has nothing to do with translation, but everything to do with language identity and cultural practices. Either you follow some language courses, language schools, or you're trying to learn on your own, there will be time to socialize with your language. Do so. We learn languages to communicate with people, after all. 1 year after the start, at most, push yourself to start speaking English with others, foreigners especially. If you don't do so, life will come to your doorstep and it will push you to do so. If you do this, this will give you a lot of life experience and language experience, of course. And this experience is the one you cannot get anywhere else from. Okay guys, let's wrap it up. I try to help you with your study plan and how you should be defining your goals with your learning adventure, learning process in this video. Why am I speaking English in this video? Again, I'd like to talk about this because throughout my career, I try to encourage and motivate my students to speak English with others. This is about getting out of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is something not static, it's dynamic. The more you stay in your comfort zone, the more it shrinks, gets smaller. And the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more it will be challenged and the more it will expand. Actually, matter of fact, you're challenging yourself, not your comfort zone, technically speaking. Whatever. This is how you challenge yourself, by speaking English with foreigners, others. And this is how I challenge myself, speaking English in front of this camera as a Turk. And if I can do this, you can do that. I'd like to be a kind of a role model for you. That's why I'm speaking English in this video. If you like this video, please press the thumbs up button, like button, and subscribe to my channel and send it to your friends who you think can get benefit from it. See you in the next video.